Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I conclude my series on Immortal, the Invisible War, by talking about the systems and mechanics. As convoluted as all the setting and history information is, it is actually surprising that the core system itself is fairly simple and straightforward. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk about the systems of Immortal. As I've mentioned before, there's certain archetypes different systems fall into. Immortal is a variant of the single die archetype. What this archetype is you roll one die and you add modifiers to that die. Immortal is kind of interesting in this approach. You roll one die. This die is a d10, unlike most of the other single die archetype. And you add the relevant attribute and skills, what they call talents, to that roll, and that determines your total number. Now, where it gets interesting is the terms they use. The difficulty is not the target number, it's the hostile. And you use a different die for each attribute. The die color you use is dictated by the attribute you use. Understand, there's nothing different about these. They are just normal D10s bought from a hobby store. But the 6 attributes are red for resolve, which is how intelligent you are. Orange for force, it's how physically strong you are. Yellow, expertise, is your manual dexterity. Green, movement, it's how fast you are. Blue, awareness, i.e., how perceptive you are. Violet, resilience, how tough you are. And each of these, the difficulty is determined by the hostile. And yeah, that's pretty much the sum of the system. Extremely basic, just a little bit convoluted, just like the rest of it, in terms of the superfluous things. Like, if you're rolling a yellow dice, you should be rolling it for expertise, not for resolve or resilience. I mean, it's straight up in the rules. You use the color dice for its aura color. Yeah. So, that is the basics of the mechanics. Let's go talk about something a little bit more complex in the form of character creation. When you create a character in Immortal, the first thing you do is you decide what your character's predilections are. Your predilection is, well, essentially what you tend to do. They are things like architect, you like to build things. Boor, you like to be crass and rude and stuff like that. Other game systems would call them nature. And that's the best real way to think of what the predilections are. They're sort of just your natural proclivities, the the core of what you tend to want to do. Then you pick your pride, and there are 12 of these. They're sort of groups of immortals, and a lot of Immortal Society deals with the prestige of your pride. But within each pride, every immortal has a calling. Callings are your job within Immortal Society, if you will. And each one is extremely focused. Sleepers are the immortals who deal with the dreamscape. They specifically do stuff while they're sleeping to weaken the output of the sanguinary, to find those dreams of immortals who have put themselves into the state of forgetfulness, and other things like that. They deal with dreaming. The emissaries are the messengers, because immortals don't trust telephones, telegraph, internet, etc., for conveying messages confidentially or reliably. Highbinders are bounty hunters and thieves. Their job in Immortal Society is, if someone defects from one pride to another, well, they're the ones who bring that person back. If there's some artifact or necessary thing for your pride, and someone doesn't want to trade for it, well, the Highbinders are the ones who steal it for them. That's pretty much the summary of the Highbinder. Jugglers is the name for the calling that deals with the mortal world, that maintains the secrecy of the immortals. Slayers are the actual executioners of the immortals. They are the only one of the callings that has actual sanction to kill another immortal. Understand, you can't actually permanently kill another immortal, but you can put him out of action for a while. Keepers are bodyguards and the ones who protect items of importance. Probes are the investigators. And scourges are the arbiters and judges of conflicts between the prides. And from there, once you've picked your predilection, your pride, and your calling, you go into your characteristics. You have 15 motes to spread between your 6 characteristics. You can choose to not spend any of these and leave them as free immaculum, which is what you would use for powering your serenades later. Your magical abilities. But generally speaking, you kind of probably want to spend most of these, because these help determine the difficulty of someone to affect you. And so, they're kind of important. But you get 15 free motes to spend. And then you have, after this, 100 memory points, experience points, to spend between your talents, i.e. your skills, your special abilities like serenades, all that. Then, once you've gotten all the mechanical side of your character done, you decide your concept. Most games put that step first, but Immortal puts it last. The last thing you do is you decide your concept. It's a little odd, but overall, Immortal the Invisible War, its character creation is fairly simple, fairly straightforward. Option A, option B, spend stuff. And with that, I conclude talking about Immortal the Invisible War. Next week, we're going to talk about Exalted 3rd Edition. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.